Now everyone, it's time to spread a bit of movie cheer.
Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast, the show for movie fans. I am your host, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and on today's edition of the Movie Cheer Pod, I will be discussing TV reboots of big movies. So it's a big discussion today with the announcement of the Harry Potter movie franchise getting a reboot, a TV reboot for HBO Max now. Coming up over the upcoming years, and I thought it'd be a really good topic to sort of like just look at movies, big movie franchises that we really enjoy, discussing whether TV reboots are a good thing or whether it's a bad thing, and just really just do a big deep dive into that topic today. So that will be today's headline topic on the show. It is a live show today, so if you're watching this on YouTube live, feel free to get into the live chat, the live discussion on this topic as well. If you're watching this on the replay or listen to this on the podcast app as well, leave your comments on this topic as always. So that's going to be today's headline topic, ladies and gents. As always, though, we're going to start off the show, though, with a segment called What's Been on the Screen.
Ooh, what's been on the screen? The screen. What's been on the screen?
What's been on the screen? What have I been watching over the past week, ladies and gents? Well, this past week, I started off with watching the Power Rangers Once and Always TV special. So this was like 30 years of the honoring the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, a one-off of the bringing back the original characters from that original run of like this first couple of seasons of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You had returning Rangers from the first bunch, like Billy, Zach, and then you had like Rocky in there. I know there was like Adam, Aisha, and Kat. Obviously, this didn't feature two prominent people who sadly passed away, JDF, Jason David Frank, and who was the Green Ranger, the White Ranger, and the Yellow Ranger, Twy Trang. Hope I'm not butchering the pronunciation of that. She was the Yellow Ranger. She sadly passed away as well in the early 2000s. Jason David Frank passed away last year. So they didn't feature, but they kind of really honored both of those characters, which was really nice to see. So basically, Once and Always, what was the concept of this? I'm if you've not watched it already, if you're a big fan of Power Rangers, maybe skip this because I'm going to go into spoilers for this special. So it was 30 years later. Billy and Zach, and all the other Rangers are, they're in the Power Ranger gig still. They're still in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers outfits. And it feels like Power Rangers now has become in this universe anyway, we're watching it. It feels like the kind of a bit like superhero-y, kind of like the Avengers. It feels like, in the comics where the Avengers have like the different a different Avengers team for each and every state in certain comics. And it feels like the way they were doing this special, it's like the way Power Rangers are in this universe, this world, is as if the different sets of Rangers from like all the different Power Rangers series all are existent in the same world, but they kind of just like covered certain areas of the world and the planet at different times. So they're kind of all, it's a nice, like, they kept the canon, they kept the continuity of all different shows because they kind of showed different Rangers throughout, but not like they didn't interact with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers of this show. So it starts off very early on where we see Rita Repulsa come back to life as a robot, Robo Rita. And she basically, her and her little monster friends capture some of the Power Rangers and shrink them down into like these little toys, these little figures. Now it sounds cheesy, but that is Power Rangers was very much like that back in the day. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It was kind of storylines like this. So she was, capturing all the Rangers apart from the like of Billy, Trini, the Yellow Ranger, Billy, the Blue Ranger, Zach, Kimberly as the Pink Ranger and Tommy as the Green Ranger and Jason as the Red Ranger. They were all captured by Rita. And then basically in all this opening scene where we see this big fight with the putties and the Power Rangers, we see Rita, Robo Rita, destroy Trini and, kill Trini off, her character in the show. And, I was quite surprised by it. I think we saw that in the trailer, so we knew it in advance. But for Power Rangers to do that, it was quite a wild thing. I know this is like a Netflix one, so this is like the Netflix version of Power Rangers, I suppose. The themes of this, it got quite adult, really. The tone was very different from the show, but yeah, she gets killed early on by Robo Rita, and then we skip to 1 year exactly later, and it's like the memorial of Trini, and her daughter is, she's aware that her mum was a Power Ranger, and then Billy and Zach, who were like her mentors, and she wants to take on the Morpher and become the Yellow Ranger. And we see this throughout this story. And it does end up being that in the end, she proves herself worthy of becoming the Yellow Ranger, like her mum, Trini, this young actress. And the young actress, I don't know her name, but she was really great in this. I thought she was really, really good. And we see her at the end of this. She risks her life to save Billy the same way her mum did. But this time, the power coin saves her, and then she becomes a Ranger. She morphs, and they take down Rita. So throughout the story, then it's like they have to try and defeat Rita and try and save the Rangers who were captured. They end up saving them, and it's a big fairy tale happy ending in the end. So what honest opinions of this? Sorry, my computer's just making a noise. This is the way it goes with live streaming, I suppose. What do I think of this? Gut instinct, instant thoughts. I'll be honest, with nostalgia, I loved it. Look, I know, I can honestly say it wasn't the best thing ever. It really was, but I wasn't really expecting like end game level of like TV movie. So it was like a TV movie. It was like must have been like an hour. This one, Power Rangers Once and Always. I wasn't expecting tons, and what I expected felt like I knew that's what I was going to get, and I was really happy with what I watched when I was watching this. It is. I don't think if you've never watched Power Rangers before, I think this is not for you personally. I think this is for someone who grew up with the Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, who were big fans of the show, really, sucked in all of that, that goodness back in the 90s, and absolutely enjoyed it. And that's what I got from it. I was watching it, I was thinking, look, I know what I'm getting into here. This is Power Rangers, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I liked the story as well. I was kind of like surprised, like I said, the way they dealt with certain things, because I think they dealt with it really well. The way, because Jason David Frank, they filmed this, I think, in New Zealand before he passed, so he could have actually featured, but he apparently declined, and so did the actress Amy Jo Johnson, who plays Kimberly. She declined. So them two, I think they were two big misses, them two. But I think the way they sort of like worked around it with the plot, it worked well. And it was kind of nice to see Billy and Zach, the Power Rangers from that original team, front and center throughout the story, especially Billy. He was like, he felt like the main guy throughout this. And then the way they kind of brought in this young girl, Trini's daughter, to fill that empty spot of Trini, who passed away, the actress who actually passed away in real life. So they honored that. I liked it. At the end of the show as well, they had a really nice memorial, nice touching moment where it was really very emotional moment where they played like this song where Kimberly's playing from the original show, and it's all the Power Rangers, and it was like I can't even remember I think it was a real song. I can't remember. If anyone in the comments knows the song, but that was a very emotional scene. And then they had like a rest in peace. This is in memory of both them. The actor and actress of the Yellow and Green Ranger who passed away. And memorial, and that was really nice. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I went away from it thinking, what is next now with this? Could they do more? Should they do more? Would I want to see more? I'll be honest with you. I feel like, especially with the fact a lot of these, a lot of the cast members have passed away now and stuff. Well, not all of them. There is still team members there, but they had to use like 2 different teams for this special. Like a lot of these Rangers didn't interact on the actual show, like the likes of Rocky and Zach and Kat. Kat and Rocky were on a separate team to the likes of Rocky, to Zach. Sorry, Billy was obviously prominent. He was featured all the way through, but I think Kimberly and Jason David Frank were big misses as well in this. I think they were really. When I think of Power Rangers, they're the 2 characters I really think of most importantly. Zordon, he didn't feature on this. I don't know if the original Zordon actor is still alive, but he, again, that's another miss. But I feel like I said, they patched it up and the story worked with what they had. They only had certain ingredients to work with, and that is what they did, and they did well in the end. Would I want to see more? I kind of, yeah. I feel like now, leave it be, personally. I don't think this, maybe another special in like another 5 years or another 10 years. If anything, I would just stick to doing one of these specials every so often, just to celebrate the show. I think if you do like another TV show of Mighty Morphin now, don't get me wrong, I probably would give it a try, but I think it is just going to be a kids show again, unless they do it, because this felt like more to a vibe of the likes of the Arrow and the Flash TV shows, the CW sort of DC Comics TV shows. It felt a bit darker, not like it's not like Dark Knight level of seriousness, but the tone was definitely a shift in tone from the original show. It was, the original show was a bit more lighthearted, but this was dealing with real, real concerning events. The death of someone. There was a funeral sequence, and it was very different, the tone of it. The music was all there. The music felt very similar to the original show. It was just, that was a big nostalgia trip for me. I was just like popping when them songs hit with Go Go Power Rangers. The Zord battles were very different as well. The Zord battle, let's talk about the Zord battles. So the Zord battles was, I was kind of like a bit frustrated that they didn't, do like the way they did originally with a guy in a suit, in a big suit, and then they do it like the Megazord battles like that. They did it differently. It was kind of like animated, so it looked like you were watching like a Transformers animated show for the battles with the Zords and the monsters. Look, I didn't dislike it, but I have that nostalgia for that. Something about that realness to the original show where they had someone in the suit, and I know as a kid, you don't think that. You think it's like a real thing. And now I know it's a guy in a suit. But to me, I think it actually looks better. I think something about that, it just looks a bit more real, a bit more authentic. Animation, it wasn't as bad as the Power Rangers movie, I'll give you that. But I don't know, it just kind of just didn't have a certain touch to it. I really liked the Zord battle, but it wasn't awful. The interior of the Zord, though, was great. It was great seeing all the Power Rangers in the Zord. It was cool to see they kind of redone in HD in modern format the Zords coming together as well. That was really cool. I love that when the Zords are coming out of the dinosaurs coming out of the ground, stuff like that. That is so cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Power Rangers once and always, definitely worth a watch. Like I said, I think if you like the original show, give it a watch. Maybe I don't even think it would work in reverse. If you watch this, I don't think you'd be like, I want to watch the original show. I think for me, you've got to watch the original show to really click to this. I think it's just got that certain bit of connection to the fan base that someone new going in there maybe wouldn't appreciate and would probably think this is a bit silly, a bit daft, and not really get excited over it really and get them like attached to these characters as much. I think you've got to have that emotional connection to the characters to really appreciate it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good watch, and I'm glad it was made. I think it was, it's nice that they celebrated 30 years out of Power Rangers. And I tell you what, Billy and Zach, those guys don't look like they've aged that much, to be fair. Zach especially, that guy he just doesn't look like, if you look at pictures back to Zach and Billy, I think both of them guys look really well for 30 years on. I want to know what moisturizer they're using, because I want to see that 30 years time. I want to be, okay, like my skin's looking that good, like the Power Rangers. I'm going to send them a tweet. Anyway, what else has been on the screen this week, ladies and gents? Well, I've been watching the final episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So let's again, spoilers ahead for The Mandalorian, the final episode of season 3. If you've not watched it, I don't want to spoil it for you. So spoilers ahead, ladies and gents. So this season, well, first of all, I thought the ending was perfect. The battle with the Mandalorians, with Moff Gideon's army, was spectacular. The scenes looked like a movie. It looked fantastic. I love the ending. Then were, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, adopts Grogu, and he's renamed as Din Grogu. And then they just go off into this little house they get given by Grief. What's his name? Apollo Creed. They get that house and they're just chilling out at the end. Love that ending. And then, Mandalore is back on. The Darksaber's been destroyed, but Bo-Katan is now the leader of Mandalore, united everyone. And I was surprised there was no turns by any Mandalorian characters. They were all turned out there was no bad guys in the bunch, which was good. Moff Gideon was phenomenal as a villain. I thought he was great. It was a shame he wasn't used all the way through the show this season, but I think they've left him to the end for a reason, because they wanted to really get the full experience of Moff Gideon at the end. But his suit was great. He looked intimidating, and the battle with Mando at the end was great. I really loved it. And the battles, the battle scenes as well with Mando going, the Darth Maul laser shields, and he's taking out all them troopers there, and he's sliding in and he's doing it, and he hasn't got weapons at first, and he has to try and get weapons off them. That scene was spectacular, absolutely spectacular. And when Grogu is helping Mando again at the end fight off the guards, that was a really spectacular scene. I really enjoyed it. This season, though, as a whole, though, was for me, very similar to the Book of Boba Fett show, where it was very mixed, where it's not that I disliked it, but it felt like it was half of the show felt completely different than the other half. The first couple of episodes of The Mandalorian felt like they were really building up. I've said this in other podcasts, where they were building up this multiple stories and focusing on other characters in this Mandalorian universe. And I get why they're doing it now, because we know the end goal is going to be this Mandalorian movie with all these characters, Ahsoka, Thrawn, all coming together in this culmination of the Mandalorian universe in years to come. This will be obviously a few years down the line yet, but I get what they're doing now. They're building up these other characters, and they were building up on that Doctor character and a few other ones. And it feels like there's been a big focus and shift towards Bo-Katan this season as well. And that was similar to, Book of Boba Fett. Felt like they did it the opposite way around, whereas, Mandalorian season 3, it has kind of become the Mandalorian at the end of the show. The Book of Boba Fett was it was Boba Fett until the end of the show, and then it was Luke Skywalker, the Mandalorian, Grogu, and then it just felt like a completely different show. And again, it's not that I didn't dislike any of it, but it just felt like they were just throwing load of different paint at the at the wall, and it just felt a bit mismatched the season. And for me, that took me out of the season early on. I wasn't enjoying it personally. The first couple of episodes, it wasn't as enjoyable, because I just wanted to watch The Mandalorian to see the adventures of Grogu and Mando. So I get why they do it, but for me, that was my kind of one disapproval of this season. Whereas other seasons, I get, and I think if you can look back at the other seasons as well and say, criticize them for being, quest. This episode's a quest. Go and find this person, find this item, and I get that. That's the way the episodes were this season, where they kind of not done as many of them. They've done it more, featuring other characters and building up that universe a bit more so than doing them quests. And I know some people think them episodes are a bit filler episodes, and I get that. And I kind of probably have said that criticism as well. But for me, I think I'd rather see them sort of episodes rather than a show that is building up all of the other characters, and maybe see them in another show. But then, I suppose you've got to throw them in, and you've got to build up these characters at some point. And if there is an end line, you want to really, there's a point to all this. I get it. I get why they do it. So it's, what? I didn't dislike the show as a whole. I enjoyed it. Mandalorian, I think it finished really well, and I think it finished on a big high. I think the ending of season 3 for me was the best ending of. I think it topped season 2. I really do think it topped season 2 for me. I thought it was just spectacular. I just really liked it. What I liked as well, you could end that The Mandalorian could finish now. I personally think it should take a breather for a few years now. I know some people want it to come back straight away. I would be happy to see a bit of a break because I think this is where Marvel have done wrong, where they've been just rushing out stuff. I think let's focus on some of the shows first. Give Mandalorian a bit of a break and really build up that excitement, the anticipation to see the next season. And that's the way I would do it. I would honestly have a bit of a gap and maybe do then like a time jump with the next season as well. Maybe to see Grogu a bit bigger would be good to see. But yeah, I overall I really enjoyed the show. It was great, and I can't wait to see season 4 when it comes out eventually. But I'm also looking forward to seeing a lot more of the other Star Wars shows now, like the Ahsoka show. That is one I'm excited to see, and the reveal of Thrawn now with seeing him. That's going to be good to see. Even though I've not watched a ton of Rebels, I've watched a couple of seasons. I do like that, so it's nice now they're featuring more of them characters from Rebels in there as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to see more of this universe, and I love it. I absolutely love Star Wars. You know me, if you watch this podcast regularly, I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and this last episode was spectacular. And Star Wars TV universe for me has been chef's kiss so far. Anyway, that's what's been on the screen this week. I'm just going to go to the live comments now on the live chat if you're watching this live. And I've got Philip Coghill here. Hey, Phil. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Phil said, hello, all. Let's get the comment up. Hello, all. And then Phil has also said, I still haven't seen The Mandalorian yet. Phil, let me say, buddy, you are in for a treat, my friend. It is really good. If you're big on if you like your Star Wars, I think it is a treat for fans. I think it is also as well. It's got that feel of the original. It's just got something about it that feels very linked to the originals to me. Even though if you're watching the show, it's really geared up to the new sequels because it's like the set before the new sequels. But I feel like it's got enough of the original feel to it that I think original fans of the OG trilogy anyway would really love what they're doing with The Mandalorian. I think the Ahsoka show will probably be similar as well. I think it'll have that similar vibe to it. But I've really enjoyed it. I think you're in for a treat there, Phil, when you get around to watching that. But I hope you're doing well as well, mate. Check out Phil on YouTube. Great channel, great guy. But that has been what has been on the screen this week, ladies and gents. Now it is time for today's headline topic.
The Movie Cheer Podcast presents the headline topic for the episode.
Remember to spread a bit of
headline topic. Headline topic.
Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer.
So, today's headline topic, TV reboot of big movies. A big discussion, a big deep dive on this topic today, ladies and gents. Like I said at the start of the show, I bring up this topic because they have just announced, HBO Max, Warner Brothers have announced they are doing a reboot of the Harry Potter franchise. The Harry Potter franchise ended. The last movie, Deathly Hallows Part 2, was released in 2011 now. So 11 years ago it came out. They are now, for me, I imagine they've probably tried to do movies or they've tried to get the original cast together again to do more sequels. Maybe it's just not worked out. But they have decided to announce now that they are going on the route of making every single book into a season for HBO Max, for the streaming service. And they're going to do, a book every season of the Harry Potter franchise and do a reboot. It kind of feels like when I hear the term reboot, it kind of feels like it's changed what the wording means now. Because I hear reboot, I think, they're still keeping a certain continuity and just like rebooting the franchise, giving it a bit of a power up. Whereas this feels just like the remaking. So, whatever you want to call it, reboot, a remake. For me, I would say it's more of a remake, but, Warner Brothers are saying it's a reboot of the Harry Potter franchise from what I've read. So, wow, big news. First of all, let's initial thoughts on this, the Harry Potter franchise getting a reboot, first of all. I loved the movies, absolutely loved the movies, just as much as I loved the likes of Star Wars. I'm big fan of Harry Potter movies. I think they started really well, and them last few movies as well. They were spectacular. I just absolutely adore watching them. And there's certain ones I watch every single year. I try to watch them all every year, but sometimes I just end up watching them, like maybe the Philosopher's Stone, the first one, or was it the Sorcerer's Stone in some places. But yeah, I absolutely love their movies. I think they were really well made, and I think the time period that they made them in. What was it like? I think the first one came out, was it 1999, or was it maybe the early 2000s? It probably took them about 10 years to do all of those books, and they got it done. And to think that many movies, and the quality of the movies were always spectacular. I always thought they were really top tier movies. I don't think any of them really. There was definitely some scenes and some like plots in there were a bit. This isn't that great, but the quality of the movies, the scores, like the acting, they were all great. I enjoyed them all. I thought they were great. So hearing about this and initial thoughts, I'm not really that keen, if I'm being honest. I do not want to see. I'm just not keen on seeing a reboot of something I really enjoy. I don't like the idea of it. It's like if they remade Star Wars in the 90s. It wouldn't have been for me then. Or maybe it would as a kid. Maybe I probably would have watched it. But I think as an adult, having grown up watching the Harry Potter movies and being a big fan of them, I've just got no interest in watching them again. It's like for me, I know the story anyway. You know the ending. You know how it's going to go, and I have that connection to it. And it's from watching it as a kid and seeing them movies growing up and enjoying them growing up. And if they just they recast it all and they're just doing the same thing over and over again now, I think I'd be comparing it. I think I would be comparing it, and I don't think comparison is a good thing, but I think they're doing a remake, a reboot of it. You're obviously going to compare it, and I think if I was watching it, I think I'd rather watch the film. I'd rather watch a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie to watching a season of Harry Potter when I know how it's going to go. So yeah, I'm not super keen on it. What would I have liked to seen instead? What would I have liked to have seen again instead? I would have liked to seen something different. I think what's brought this on is success of this Wizarding World as well. This video game they've released recently, and I think it's been a really hugely successful RPG role playing game. And I think the creators of Warner Brothers as well, they thought we need to do something with this property because it's it's a big franchise. I've been to the Harry Potter world here in the UK, and it's superb. If you've never been there, go and check it out. But I think they've looked at anything. There's still money to be made on this. We've got this big franchise. Star Wars, they're doing their thing. Marvel doing their thing. We've got Harry Potter, and we're doing nothing with it on TV. Fantastic Beasts didn't work out. They didn't. They kind of cancelled them movies now. It doesn't seem like they're doing any more of those. They're not doing any more of the mainstream Harry Potter movies at this moment in time, anyway. So they thought, let's make something. They've seen the success of this video game. They think we've got to do something with Harry Potter. And they've announced this. They kind of like looked at what Lord of the Rings has done with Rings of Power. And I think they're going to do it differently to there because they're actually using the same source materials, whereas Rings of Power kind of like went before Lord of the Rings and used just like, they're kind of like writing up that themselves. So I think they've looked at like Rings of Power though and thought, let's get one of these big properties on TV. And look, I'm not a big fan of Rings of Power either. That's just not my jam. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen instead them sticking to the canon of the movies, kind of like what they're doing with Star Wars. Use that as your blueprint, the movies, the original movies, and work around it, either doing a prequel with the parents of Harry Potter or just some other characters within that universe. I mean, I think this would have been a great idea to do like the Newt Scamander character from Fantastic Beast in a TV show if they hadn't done him already. Even, if they did him as the early years of him at Hogwarts and stuff like that, I think that would even be something a bit more exciting than just a reboot of something we've seen before. It just doesn't seem intriguing. I would have even liked to have seen a movie, a TV show set in the canon universe of Harry Potter, but told a few years later. Maybe it's the kids of Harry Potter or just some other kids, in that universe. I don't think you have to do the same thing. I think there's so many different things they could have done here. Do some, tell a story of like some like Voldemort's origin story a bit more. Go into more detail with that. Maybe you could even pick out certain characters. You could do Hagrid, you could do Dumbledore, you could feature some of these characters maybe that have not had as much screen time and delve into them more, flesh them out even more so, but keep into the canon of the original movies and really having that connection. And I think that would have brought in more of the original fan base and get more people on board with it then. If they said they were having it's going to be a universe, it was all linked to the original movies, I would have been more excited. I think I would have been more, intrigued to watch it because I'd be like, oh, this is connected to that. So it's, there could be links to the movies. There could be something here that really, builds some more character to this character in the movie or builds more plot to this certain thing in a movie. That's what I would have liked to have seen more with this reboot of Harry Potter. And it's an absolute shame. For me personally, I know a lot of people might be really excited out there because I'm sure there's Harry Potter fans, anything Harry Potter, and the idea of this TV show. I get it. Loads of people are going to love it. And I also get it as well. There's going to be a bunch of new audiences, new kids growing up now who've never seen the original movies, who are not interested in them movies, but they're going to be so excited for this TV show. So on that point, I get it. And I get why they're doing it for that point. I think for me, I'm looking at it as a guy who has watched them before, and a lot of the movie cheer community are probably in the same boat as me, where they feel like it's just not for them. They've watched them before. We don't want to watch anymore. Look, on TV show, let's kind of move the focus a bit away from Harry Potter now. Some of these movies, big movies before, have had TV reboots and done okay. There's not a bunch of them that I think I can think of. I can think of it more in reverse. I think like a TV show that has had a movie that I really enjoyed was The Equalizer with Denzel Washington. I think that was superb. Talking about Power Rangers earlier on in this episode, the Power Rangers movie, the most recent reboot, I really enjoyed that as well. I'm sure there's some other ones as well that I'm missing out here, but minor successes of, or minor or major, the way you want to look at it. First of all, Stargate. Stargate was a movie. It started off with the movie of Stargate with what's his name? Jack Russell. Jack Russell. Kurt Russell. Jack Russell. That's a dog, isn't it? With Kurt Russell and James Spader. That was a great movie. One of my favorite science fiction movies out there. And that then went on to spawn a big TV show franchise, the Stargate franchise. It had loads of different seasons, multiple seasons, I'm sure, over the years. And yeah, I think that is a pretty successful franchise. The way whatever way you want to look at it, Stargate has went for years. I think it's probably made a lot of money over the years. And that is one where, it had a TV reboot as such. It was like a continuation of the show, but it's more of like a reboot. So that was a pretty successful one. The other ones I can think of that was started as movies is, I suppose this one is a bit of a cheat because it was like a popular comic book, but Daredevil, we had the Ben Affleck movie in the early 2000s, and then Netflix years later do a reboot recast with Charlie Cox. The Daredevil show, that is great. Now we're going to obviously get a reboot again of that on Disney Plus. That is a great show, and that is another sort of like one you could look at there where they've done something on TV instead of in movies, and it's turned out to be successful. Another one as well, the Jack Ryan movies. There's been loads of different Jack Ryan movies over the years, but the Jack Ryan show on Amazon is spectacular. I've watched the first and second season. They are great. They're absolutely high quality, high grade TV shows. And I really enjoyed that one. And I'm sure there's some more out there. If you can think of any in the live chat, leave it in the comments, or if you're watching this on the replay, leave the comments of any other successful movies that have then shifted to TV instead. Ones I would think I would like to see and which could work of popular movies. I think now you've got the Indiana Jones movie coming out this year. It's going to be the final one for Harrison Ford. I think he's pretty much said that now. I would love to. I know they've done a young Indiana Jones show, didn't they, years ago? His young, like, his very early years. But I think I would like to see a reboot of Indiana Jones set. Just do. I think you can honor the movies and keep it within the same sort of like source, like the same universe. Just recast the actor, get someone new in there. Maybe they don't have to look exactly like Harrison Ford, but just honor what came before, but just tell different stories. Because Indiana Jones, for me, each and every movie is very different anyway. It's just a separate adventure. They don't really have that many links to the previous movies. So I think you could do that, and I think that would be a great show to watch, a big adventure show. That would be really exciting to see. So Indiana Jones would be definitely one. Seeing Indy in his like 30s, 40s, just see him going on adventures, looking for different artifacts around the world, and I think it'd be a good one to see. Another one as well, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, whatever you want to call it. I would love to see a TV reboot of Jurassic Park. But I would love it if they just forgot everything about the movies and just start from fresh. Just go from, what I would do is I would set it in the 90s. I would set it in the 90s for nostalgia. I would do it as Jurassic Park. I would then just do some sort of adventure where you're getting like a family or a group of people going into Jurassic Park, and then something goes wrong, similar to the movies, and they're on their own with a bunch of dinosaurs. That's what I would love to see. I think it would be great, and then just see that world just explode with dinosaurs just causing destruction. Jurassic Park, I think, would be an absolute great one, because I think the movies, although they make money, I get they make money still, and I think this would be something they probably would never do unless it was just its own separate thing. I would love to see that. I think it would be great to see, because them movies have just been dire, really. The past few movies, they're not great. They went downhill. But yeah, Jurassic Park is another one for me, or I would love to see. Can you do both, though? Can you do both? Can you have a TV reboot and keep the original movie franchise going again? So let's shift the light back onto Harry Potter. If this goes, Rings of Power, a lot of people didn't watch that show. I think there was a stat out the other week. It was like only like 30 or 40% of people who watched that show watched the whole episodes of the show. They didn't watch it every single episode. They stopped watching halfway through. Is it going to be the same thing with Harry Potter? People at first, it's like, oh, this is this big thing. Tons of people are watching it, and then it just kind of slides off the surface of popularity, and people just don't watch it. And after like 2 or 3 seasons, it's talking about getting cancelled. But let's say for instance, it does okay. It's a successful show. They keep on continuing, and it's 3 or 4 seasons in, and they're still doing a few more seasons after that. Then you get the original cast. They're like, we want to make some money here. We want to make some money now. We're happy to do Harry Potter again. We want to do a Harry Potter movie set 20 years after the original movie. Let's go. Right out. Get your checkbook out. Let's start making a movie. Let's get the script out. Let's dust off the typewriter, write a new Harry Potter movie. Could it work? Could you have both running side by side? Would Warner Brothers do it? I think they would do it in a heartbeat. I think if they got the go-ahead, and I think if they had the right story, I don't even think even if they had the right story, I think if they get the go-ahead and the thumbs up, the green light from the original cast to say they're going to come back, that movie franchise would make $1 billion. Easy. A new Harry Potter movie would be like $1 billion movie. There is no way, no chance. I'm just gonna start singing Vince McMahon's music. No chance. No, there is no chance in hell. You're fired. There's no chance that they would skip that opportunity. They would. I think they would do them side by side, and I think you can do side by side as well, because then you've got the new audiences who would love the Harry Potter reboot TV show, and maybe some of the original fans like the TV show as well. But the thought of, skipping ahead 20 years with the original characters, the original cast, I think you can do it. I do think you can do it. I think it's workable. I would have liked to have seen different stories within that universe rather than the reboot, similar to the way they're doing with Star Wars. Look, Star Wars are doing the TV shows, but they're announcing new movies as well. I think that would have been better for Harry Potter, and maybe this is something that kicks them in the backside further a few years ahead, and they're like, we should have maybe done it a different way. But I would still think they would do it, and I think they could do it. They can do both, and I think maybe this is kind of like a step away, and they're looking at Star Wars and Marvel and thinking, let's do something a bit different here. Maybe they're looking at it with different, different lenses and thinking, let's try and go a different route. And maybe it will work, and maybe, I will be eating my words, and it'll be a successful show. And hey, look, I might even enjoy it. I will definitely give it a go. I'm never going to dismiss it and just be like, I'm not going to watch it. I'll definitely give it a watch. But yeah, I hope at some point we do get more Harry Potter movies, because it would just be great to see, like Star Wars, when The Force Awakens came out. I loved seeing that, and it was great seeing the original cast again. I would love to see it in 20 years' time. I think in another 10 years, maybe. I think 10 years' time, you do a new story with Harry Potter, and I think it would be superb to see. I hope it happens at some point. But TV shows getting reboots of big movies getting reboots as TV shows, sorry. That is today's headline topic, over and done with. What do you think of this topic, ladies and gents? Are you a fan of this? Let me know in the comments below, or if on the live chat, let me know your comments and your thoughts on this headline topic. Is it for you? Are you a fan of this? Let me know all your thoughts, ladies and gents. I'm just going to go into the live comments and now again, and let's have a little look. We've got Phil again. Phil is saying, I'm fairly interested in I'm fairly interested in the Harry Potter reboot. There's a whole subplot in the books that the movies cut out, and I think it would be nice to see them on screen. Yeah, that's fair enough. But Phil, I think, you know what? I get that. I get that with the with the Lord of the Rings books. There was a lot of that in that book, in the first book, The Fellowship, where you have like Tom Bombadil and stuff like that. That is just missed out, and there's a lot more plot threads in them books that were missed out. And I've read the first two. Well, I've had the audiobooks of the Harry Potter ones, and yeah, I'm sure there's an absolute ton of stuff that's been missed out through all them books. So I think you're completely right there. There's definitely going to be more stories we've not seen before that they put on the screen. So that'll be good to see if they do it like that, and put in a bit of freshness to it. I think if it's just a carbon copy, it won't be as exciting. But I totally get it, buddy. I totally get it. And Phil has also said Buffy the Vampire Slayer was based on a movie. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I've never seen the original movie, but I watched I wasn't a huge fan of the show, but I remember watching it, the original Buffy show when that came out as well. Yeah, that was another one. I bet it was there, what about Sabrina the Teenage Witch, talking about like 90s, early 2000s? Let me know. Is that another one? I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm sure there's absolutely tons of them that I'm just missing out. But anyway, that's today's headline topic, over and done with, ladies and gents. Let's move on to the next segment of today's show.
Case covers take on other case covers. Can you handle that?
Case cover collision. Case cover collision.
Case cover collision. Each and every week, I choose a different movie and look at the different case covers for that movie and put them up against each other on case cover collision to find out which one is the best case cover. And today I am looking at the movie John Wick Chapter 4. Now, I've still not seen this movie, so I can't really comment. What I can say is, though, I've enjoyed every single John Wick movie so far. They've all been superb, spectacular films, and Chapter 4, I can't imagine it's a letdown. I've heard good things from people who have spoken to about this movie so far, so I'm not expecting this to be a bad movie in the slightest. I think it's going to be a spectacular film, so I'm looking forward to when that comes out, so I can get that viewed and get it watched. So, as always, though, like I said, on Case Cover Collision, we are looking at different case covers today for John Wick Chapter 4. I've got a HMV exclusive. I've got then the Steelbook, John Wick Chapter 4 Steelbook, 4K Steelbook. And then I've got a 4K lenticular cover, case cover, which is really nice to see that you see them occasionally, lenticular covers. They're the ones where like the cover sort of like looks like it comes out kind of like 3D-ish. They're absolutely stunning, them type of covers. I love seeing them. But let's have a look at these case covers anyway, ladies and gents. Let's have a look now. So we have got, first of all, this one you're seeing on screen now. This first cover is the John Wick Chapter 4 HMV exclusive case cover. Now let's talk about this. So it's like a cartoony look to this, kind of like a very anime look actually. It's a red cover. It's a red look to it. Red and black is kind of the color theme here for this one. You see on the front cover Keanu Reeves as John Wick in this cartoon anime form. He's looking down at his gun and he's kind of like reloading his weapon. And it looks as though there's like rain coming up, dropping on him. It's like it looks as though it's in the night. But you've got this color of black and red to it. So like the very, very visually, very noir. I think this actually has a different, this is like the slip cover for this. And then it's like a black and white version of this case cover in the inside of this. But I really like this. You've got the bottom right of this here. You've got John Wick title in this like sort of like neon red lettering, really prominent in the right hand corner. Keanu Reeves in a white text above that, and then below that it says Chapter 4. I really like this HMV exclusive. I think it's a really nice looking cover. And I do like the animated look to it as well, the anime style. I think it's a really nice stylized cover. I think it looks visually very cool to look at. It's John Wick. You can tell it's John Wick. You see, obviously, the title as well. And you just see that guy with a gun. You see this, he looks like he's a tough guy. He's an assassin of some sort, if you don't know this movie already. I love the look of it. I think it's a really great cover. Now let's go to cover number 2, and I'm just going to shift over here, and we're going to go to the lenticular cover now. So this is the John Wick lenticular cover, Chapter 4, and this is, again, like I said at the start, I love these type of covers. I think they look visually just great. Looking at this screenshot here, you can't really see the lenticular nature of this cover, but let's just look at it and talk about this. Again, they went for a very color scheme of like a white and added a bit more white into this one, like a white gray creamy color, but then you've got a lot of it is red and black, corresponding to me. It's like black and red, it's just blood, and you see like blood splatters on this cover. You see that a lot of case covers where it's like movies like this, having like Reservoir Dogs featured a lot of like blood and stuff like that. And I like it because I think it's a big part of this movie. There's a lot of bloodshed in these movies. This one is very different. You've got Keanu Reeves kind of like in a painted matte look to his face here. He's looking straight at the camera, front and center, very large. It looks bigger than the last cover, and he's looking straight at the camera here. Underneath that, you've got very different fonts now for John Wick. It's a kind of like in a painted font, which is a bit different here. Obviously, they went for a different style, visual style here. John Wick painted on, and it's painted in white, but then you've got the blood splatters around the title. And then underneath that, you've got the same font again for Chapter 4. I love the look of this. In the background, you've got like black, sort of like a black, sort of like dark red color. I'd probably say more dark red actually than black to the left-hand side. And then it's kind of cut in the middle to that gray, creamy white color on the right-hand side as well. I think it looks a really great cover, this. I think it's visually, again, it's very stunning. I think it would have been good to feature a weapon in this, though, if he featured like with John with a gun or something like that. But I think Keanu Reeves, the character. This is a character you would know, and I think it's a really solid cover. So which one's the best one so far? The HMV exclusive or the lenticular cover? I think I've got to go with the Keanu Reeves in the John Wick Chapter 4 on the HMV exclusive. I think for me, that anime look, just something about that really pops to me. I do like this lenticular cover, but I think for me, it's just a bit too plain, and it doesn't kind of like stretch the boundaries of creativity as enough as I'd like to see it. Whereas I love that anime look to it. I think it's really great. You see the gun in there as well, a bit more violence, and what this really is, this movie's about violence. Now we're going to go to the final case cover of this edition of Case Cover Collision, and we are going to, let me just get it up on the screen here, ladies and gents. This is the 4K Steelbook now of John Wick Chapter 4, and let's have a little look at this. So 4K Steelbook, there was actually a limited edition Steelbook you can get, and it's the same cover of this as this one. So this, again, they've really, each and every cover here from the the artists have all went different, which I really like to see. Here we have got John Wick, and he's looking a bit worse for wear here. He looks like he's been in a battle of some sort. He's a very different pose again, but he looks like he's just been 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. He's looking straight at the camera, and you can see it's more of like a full body shot. It's like half a body shot even. He's in his suit. Then at the center, we've got Keanu Reeves, and then the John Wick neon red text again, red font. And then underneath that, you've got a green, bluey font of Chapter 4, a bit different this time. Behind him, you've got like these green colors, and you've got like this big ring. Is that the emblem for, the assassin emblem? What you see in some of the previous movies where they sort of like, it's like a blood oath sort of thing. I think it might be that, or it's something else in this movie that I've not seen yet. But yeah, I like the look of that. It kind of looks like the Stargate, the Stargate in Stargate. But yeah, I like the look of this. Again, you can see them blood kind of going from the back bit down his shirt and down the sides of his shoulders, which is really cool. Again, a very nice subtle little touch here that they featured on this case cover. I like it. I think it looks great. Good use of color, good use of greens, black, red. I think they've really went for a nice broad palette here for this case cover. So which one is the winner? Which one is my favorite of this edition of Case Cover Collision? I've got to go with the HMV exclusive of John Wick Chapter 4. I think it is just a solid case cover. Let's just get it back on screen, ladies and gents. Let's just show this case cover off again. I think it is an absolutely solid cover. I think it looks great. I think it's just the anime. I love the anime look to it. Maybe it's because I like anime, and maybe that's where it clicks to me, pops to me a bit more. But I think it's just something different. I think the anime look, I think it really suits the John Wick genre as well. I think the style of movie, storytelling, the martial arts, I think it really connects with me, and I think it's a solid cover. So the HMV exclusive is this week's edition. It's this week's winner on Case Cover Collision. Now let's move on with the next segment of today's show, and I'm just going to get on to the next segment, and that is the Amazon Top 10.
The Amazon Top 10 is approaching. Prepare yourself. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Amazon Top 10 has arrived.
The Amazon Top 10. Each and every week, I give you the Amazon Top 10, the best sales list for Amazon.co.uk for DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. Let's look at that top 10 list for this week, ladies and gents. First of all, at number 10, we have Beyond Paradise on DVD, TV show over here in the UK. At number 9, we have Evil Dead Rise 4K. That movie's just come out, hasn't it, this week? Here in the UK, I think around the world as well. Evil Dead Rise on 4K, so that'll be pre-order. At number 9. At number 8, we have Downton Abbey: A New Era on DVD. At number 7, we have Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania on DVD at 7. At number 6, we have Megan on DVD. I think that is. Oh, that could be a. No, that could be a Blu-ray. I think that's a Blu-ray, sorry, Megan. At number 5, we have House of the Dragon Season 1 on Blu-ray. Number 4, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania on Blu-ray. At number 3, we have A Man Called Otto on DVD, Tom Hanks movie. Yeah, here we have at number 2, the DVD. Yeah, so it was the Blu-ray. What number was it? Number 6 was the Blu-ray of Megan, and number 2 is the DVD of Megan. That horror movie with the doll. I've never seen that, and I don't know whether I could watch that. I don't know if I could handle that. At number 1, though, we have yet again, still top of the tree, top of the table, Elvis on DVD. Superb movie, really well deserving of being number 1 on the Amazon top 10. So that is the Amazon top 10 for this week, ladies and gents. Let's move on to the final segment of today's show. And the final segment of today's show is end the show every week with a segment called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. This is the part of the show where I just talk about what's going on with the channel, what's going on with the Movie Cheer Town community. And you know what? As it's a live show as well, I'm going to go through the comments as well. Again, like I said, if you're watching this on the replay or on the podcast, as always, leave your comments as well. I do always appreciate the comments. So let's have a little look at the live chat. I think Philip's the only one watching live. You know what? This is a spur of the moment thing. I don't really do them live, but I do appreciate Philip watching along live. Thank you very much, buddy. And whoever's watching on the replay, listens to the podcast, I always do appreciate you guys. Let's have a little look. Phil said Buffy the Vampire Slayer was based. Yeah, sorry, I've done that one, haven't I? Hang on. Sabrina was based on a comic, if I recall correctly. So was that isn't there is it Rivendell? Is there like a comic book and there's like a TV show? Is that character Sabrina from that comic book? I'm not 100% sure. Philip also said, I used to have a lenticular cover for the Clone Wars animated movie. I saw it years ago and I really regret it because it's pretty rare now. Oh man, I wouldn't. It'd be interested to know how much it is now, buddy, to see how much you could repurchase it for. I don't think I've seen that movie. You know, I've heard of the animated movie because I know it was set. It was the movie, wasn't it, before the Clone Wars TV show? I don't think I've seen that one, or maybe I have. Maybe I've seen it. Phil also said, I like the HMV cover the best. I agree, mate. I think the HMV cover on Case Cover Collision for John Wick Chapter 4, best cover for sure. Superb. So that's a few of the comments. I'll also go into some of the comments. Some of the comments I've not got to this past week. I do apologize, I've not got to comments this week on the channel, but I've got a comment here from Richard Kinnell. And Richard said, how much would you pay for 62 DVDs? I will tell you how much I would pay for 62 DVDs, Richard. I'd pay you nothing. It's not a bartering thing. I appreciate that I imagine there's an offer coming up there saying, would you want to buy them for certain? Look, I have plenty of movies here, mate, and I'll be honest, I've had a few people say, do you want some movies? Do you want some of these? And super kind offers. And I'm kind of on a bit of a clear out at the moment. So I'm not really bringing in as much really movie-wise at the moment, but I'm really happy with what I got. Don't get me wrong, if I see movies that I really want, I will end up getting them. But I appreciate the comment though, Richard. Maybe you're not trying to sell them, but yeah, I'm not really interested in buying 62 DVDs. But I want to know which DVDs they are. I'd be interested to know what they are, buddy. Appreciate that though. Thank you very much. Next week, hopefully, I'm planning, if all being well, to do some sort of pay-per-view show next week. Maybe a return of Clash of the Movie sequels potentially next week. We did it last year, or another pay-per-view of some sort. But I think we've not done a pay-per-view show this year as of yet. Live show where hopefully I'll get some guests involved with the show. It's always nice hearing different opinions as well. And I love doing the live show. So hopefully next week, all being well, if not the week after maybe. But yeah, next week is the goal to do a live pay-per-view show. First one for the Movie Cheer Pod for this year anyway. But that is that's a not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for this week over and done with. And that is it for another episode of the Movie Cheer Pod. If you enjoyed this show today, please do give it a like and leave a comment below. If you listen to this on a podcast app of your choice, please do subscribe to the app and leave a 5-star review and give me a link. Send me a message to the 5-star review and I'll read it out. All those comments, likes, they really do help this community to grow even more. And I really do appreciate it all your support. I will leave in a link below as well for the the Amazon links, the Amazon affiliate links, where we can earn a small percentage of those sales for the John Wick Chapter 4 steelbook and the lenticular cover as well. So I'll put them in below. But thank you very much, as always, for watching. Let me know your thoughts on today's headline topic of TV reboots of big movies. What do you think overall? Should big movies have TV reboots? And is it too early for a Harry Potter reboot? We're 11 years after the final movie. Is it too early? Should it be another 10 years down the line before we start seeing reboots of popular franchises? How long should you have to wait to do a popular franchise? Let me know all your thoughts on today's show, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer. And as always, I will see you next time.